Hey guys, Sak here from SAKITECH, and in today's video what we're going to do is we are going to be comparing the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus to the S20 Plus and the S20 Ultra. So the big question for people that own this product right here, the S10 Plus, is shall I upgrade to the S20 Plus or the S20 Ultra? So let's dive in and discover. What we're going to do is we are going to be looking at every aspect of these smartphones: the build, the design, the screen size, the quality, camera, software, biometrics, and the processor. So let's look at every nook and cranny and then go ahead and do a conclusion at the end to let you know whether an upgrade is worth it or not. Now, before we dive in, I want to make something very clear. The logical step up from the S10 Plus is S20 Plus, okay? The S20 Ultra is something that's even beyond the Plus versions. You can consider this to be a new entry into the segment. So if you're doing a direct upgrade from the S10 Plus, it should be the S20 Plus, but you do have the option to go to the S20 Ultra if you want the extras that do come with it, which we're going to be talking about in this video. So I just want to make that distinction. The S20 Plus is the upgrade, the natural upgrade to the S20 Plus, but the S20 Ultra is so important that we have to include that in this video as well, so you guys are aware of exactly what's happening. So the very first thing I want to talk about is the build quality. Now, all these phones have a Gorilla Glass 6 in their construction. So the rear glass and the front glass has Gorilla Glass 6. These two phones have aluminum metal rim around the edges of the device. The S20 Ultra, in fact, has a stainless steel rim around the edges. So when it comes to toughness, it's going to be the toughest device of all of these three. Another big thing is the only phone here that has a headphone jack is the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. These have said goodbye to the headphone jack, so something to consider if you are into these things. Alright, so when we flip these phones over, one of the biggest differences becomes available. So if you look on the top here, we have a camera on the side to the right, and it's a dual camera. This one is 10 megapixels. Now this one has a center hole cutout and the camera is in the middle. It's 10 megapixels on this one. On this one is 40 megapixels, all right? 10, 10, 40, and the positioning has changed on these guys. But if you look at the corners here, they're all the same. So the corners do have a nice curve around the edges. So the overall design and the look of these phones is in fact similar, except for that frontal camera. And real quick, let me talk about the display here. We're going to go into the details about the display in a second, but this is 6.4 inches. This is 6.7 inches, so that's a significant upgrade. And this, of course, is 6.9 inches, the largest display, okay? And like I said, you would upgrade from this to this if you want, and even in doing so, you're getting a larger screen. However, I will let you guys know that the actual screen quality, the sharpness, the brightness is the same on all these smartphones. This already has an amazing display. These do have minor upgrades, but nothing to go crazy about. So when it comes to the display quality and the display sharpness and the display brightness, they're all the same displays. The thing we have on these two guys is we have a 120 hertz refresh rate. So this one has a maximum of 60 hertz refresh rate. These guys can go up to 120 hertz, and that's going to give you nice and smooth animations as you swipe between the screens, okay? It's just going to, the perception is going to be smoother. Now let me go to the settings real quick. I'm going to show you one thing. When I go to display and when I go into the actual screen resolution, when you have it at full high definition plus on these two phones, you are able to use 120 hertz refresh rate. But when you go over to the full Quad HD Plus resolution, they all operate at 60 hertz, okay? So if you want 120 hertz on this one or this one, you have to go to full high definition plus, which is perfectly fine. If you go over here, it's locked to 60 hertz. The reason being to save the battery most likely. But again, this is only 60 no matter where you go. 120 at full high definition plus, just so you guys know and are clear about that. All right, so that's a major factor. Being able to have 120 hertz refresh rate is important to some people, but many consumers don't care about it. So you have to just choose whether or not that is important or not to you. Now let's move on and quickly talk about the software. Then I'm going to talk about the camera, which is going to be very important. Now the software on all these phones, exactly the same. Android 10, One UI 2.0, Android 10, One UI 2.0. All the experience is going to be the same across the board. Nothing to worry about there. Now let's talk about something very important, the camera. Okay, this is going to be one of those things that really is going to matter, okay, when it comes to the display, when it comes to an upgrade. So first and foremost, this guy has 3 cameras. We have a telephoto camera, we have a super wide angle, and we have a regular camera. Same one with this, regular wide, super wide, and telephoto. With this one, we have 4 cameras. Again, we've got the regular wide, the ultra wide, the telephoto lens, and then we have a 3D depth sensing camera, which is not a big deal, but it does give you better background blur in videos and photos. Now, these 2 cameras simply are going to be better than this one, okay? The reason is this one here and this one have physical sensors inside the camera that are larger than this one. This has a smaller sensor, this has a bigger sensor, and when the sensor is bigger, you get better low light, you get better clarity, better sharpness, better zoom, better everything, but that's not everything. There's more. The telephoto lens on this camera can go up to 10 times, okay? So you can zoom in, but only up to 10 times hybrid zoom. With this one, the telephoto camera at the bottom goes all the way to 30 times hybrid zoom. And this one, this is absolutely nuts. This is gonna take you to 100 times hybrid zoom. So if you want to be able to zoom in to far distances, this is the one you want to pick. This is still good, but this is going to be the worst. So in the camera department, there are some big upgrades. One more thing, the main 12 megapixel sensor here is not as good as the one in this one. Now this one on the top has a 108 megapixel main sensor, while these 2 guys have 12 and 12. So that's another big difference here. This guy is the top dog. The camera is ultimate on this, and that's why the price is high. It's $1,400, and this is going to be $1,200, and this has been reduced in price to around $800 now. But I just want you guys to understand the camera is going to be better on these 2, and that's going to be one of the biggest things to consider if you want to upgrade. For the average consumer, this camera is still a flagship camera. These are just better, and this is the best. So that's the story with the camera. Let's move on and talk about something else. Let's move on and talk about the biometrics. So I'll let you know right now, when I lock this phone and unlock it, there's only a couple ways to log in. First one, if I tap on this, boom, that's how I log in. That's the biometric fingerprint. And then we have Face ID. Let me go to the settings. I'm going to show you real quick. So biometrics and security. This menu here is the same over here. All these phones have the fingerprint sensor and they have the face recognition, and they operate the same. There might be some slight enhancements here, might be a little bit faster, but it's all the same stuff, okay? Nothing new when it comes to biometric. Let's finally talk about the performance. So here's what's going on with the performance. This phone is smooth as butter. There's nothing wrong with this phone. But with these guys, you are getting new processors, okay? So by having new processors, you're getting a 25% increase in the overall performance. But all these phones do have the option to add a micro SD card so you can expand the storage if you so desire. This one starts at 128 gigabytes. This one only has a 128 gigabyte option, and this one also starts at 128 gigabytes. But I'll let you know, this guy and this guy, they have 12 gigabytes of base RAM. This one actually has 8 gigabytes of RAM. This is the 512 gigabyte model. If you were to buy the 1 terabyte model, you can go for the 12 gigabytes of RAM, but that's what we have here. This is 8 gigabytes if you buy the base models. It's all 8. These start at 12. This starts at 8 gigabytes. But that's basically it. I'll let you know, regardless of the gigabytes and the processors, smooth as butter, still a flagship level smartphone. But if you want the best of the best, of course, you're getting that 25% increase in performance here. So now we have talked about everything. Let's go and see if it is worth upgrading from the S10 Plus to the S20 Plus or the S20 Ultra. And of course, the answer to that question is no. No need to upgrade right now unless the camera, how important is the camera to you, and how important is that slightly increased screen size with 120 hertz refresh rate. Those two things are the only things to consider when you're doing an upgrade. If you can live without them, which I think you can, there is no need to upgrade this. I would wait for the next iteration, which is going to be a much larger upgrade as expected. But again, let's be very careful. If you're one of those consumers like me that want the best of the best right now, then you have to upgrade, all right? But if you can live without those two things, now there's other upgrades here as well. When you go from this guy to this guy, you get the performance boost and things like that. But the main two concerns are the camera and the screen, the larger screen with the potential to go 120 hertz refresh rate. If those two things are important, upgrade right now. If they're not important, you don't have to upgrade, and that's all you're really getting for that price bump. All right? So that's the conclusion. Do not upgrade for most consumers. Upgrade for the crazy tech enthusiasts like myself. All right, guys, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them down below and let me know. And for now, have a fantastic day, all right?